Hi, I'm Shalomar Steinberg, the instructor for Drafting 160, Computer-Aided Drafting and Design. And this is our classroom Moodle page. Just to give you a little bit of an orientation, we've got our welcome. I've got a news and announcements forum, which allows me to share with the entire class via email any items that I need to clarify or time-sensitive information. We've got our class syllabus, which I ask that you read as soon as you can. Our introduction forum, which so far it looks like almost everybody has done their introduction to. For anyone who needs to know, this is where you can post a paragraph-long introduction to yourself and why you're in this class. And that just helps me with making sure everybody is here during the first week of class. The question and answer forum allows you to ask questions, and then I will get to them within about 24 hours, but other students may answer them for you as well if they notice. Here is the link for where you can download the student version of the AutoCAD software. This year we are using the 2022 version. If you have an older version, that will probably work as long as it's 2019 and later, probably. But let me know just so that we can work with it if anything is very different. Then we've got the link for our class Zoom meeting, which is for the optional lecture lab or my office hours and individual help. The lecture lab will be each Wednesday from 12 to 1:30 p.m. Attendance is optional as the meetings will be recorded and posted, other than this last week when we had an issue with campus internet being down and not being able to do that. But normally I will record them and post them for the following week. And then I am also on Zoom each Wednesday from 1:30 to 2 or Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. for drop-in office hours. If we scroll down further, we see that there is week 1, and we're in the weekend following week 1 right now. I will have the materials for week 2 up probably by Monday, but definitely by Wednesday. Wednesday is kind of when we start new information for the week, since that's when the lecture is. I am currently recording the introduction to the class and the drawing setup and interface tools because those videos from last year were recorded through Zoom and therefore they delete after 365 days, which I forgot about. So they will be activated this afternoon. And then the drawing tools for assignment 1 are a series of videos for the basic draw commands in AutoCAD, i.e. circle, rectangle, line, etc., that will help you with doing your assignment 1 vehicle drawing. So for this week, your to-do list includes reading the syllabus, downloading the program if you haven't already, creating that introduction post, and then working on assignment 1, the vehicle drawing. And just so that you know, this drawing is very non-specific. You can draw any kind of vehicle you want. I've had boats, cars, airplanes, scooters. Somebody drew a skateboard, and that works. You just need to show me at least 5 of the different commands from this drawing tools list, basically. All right, let's get into an introduction to the AutoCAD program itself. So this is the opening screen for AutoCAD 2022. It's very similar to the 2020 and 2021 versions. And so what we'll see on the screen is that there are ribbons up at the top, which are grayed out right now because I'm not technically in a drawing. And they will light up once I open up an old drawing or start a new drawing. Up here at the top is where you can sign in with your account. Remember that your Autodesk account is free unless you decide to buy some kind of other software through them or something like that. Any announcements from the company are here, and so they may tell you about little workshops or articles that you can use, things like that. And then here we have the basic first drawings that come with the program that you can look at if you're interested in seeing a floor plan sample, how you extract data, or an assembly object. We will look at simpler versions of some of those as the term goes on. And then over here is where you can get to opening a new drawing, opening an old drawing, or creating a new drawing. You'll also see that there are sections here for Autodesk Docs. If we click on that, if you had a desktop connector that went to your Autodesk Docs projects, if you were using Autodesk Docs, which is a thing that allows you to create documents and share them with coworkers, etc. And then the learning section, which is very helpful. This section gives you access to tips and tricks. It also gives you access to the online resources, including the Hitchhiker's Guide to AutoCAD, which is a very useful guide that goes through all the essential commands that you need for 2D drawings. And there are typically both a write-up and a video of each of those. I highly recommend them as backup resources for this class. And then there's online trainings that you can go to through Autodesk as well if you're interested in those. Over here there's also links to the AutoCAD mobile app, which you can use on a tablet. It's a much pared down version, but it's good for opening your drawing and maybe making a quick correction before you submit it if you need to, or something like that. And then there is an Autodesk web app. Again, it's kind of a pared down version, but as long as you have a license to a working version of Autodesk on a computer, you have the ability to use either of those if you want to. All right, let's go into a new drawing for right now. And we're just going to click right on new, and you'll see that it opens up two sections basically. The ribbon area at the top, which is where you see the command sections. So we've got our drawing commands. Those are the actual objects that you can create. Our modify commands, which allow us to make changes after we've drawn something. So for example, rotating it or moving it around on the screen. The annotation section, which allows us to add text, whether it's dimension information or labeling text or notes into our drawings. We have a layers manager. Layers allow us to separate out some of our information and how we want to show it. We'll talk more about that next week. We have blocks, which allow us to create objects and then use them in multiple drawings. We have properties, which allow you to change the physical properties of an object once you've created it. And then groups, which is for grouping objects together. And then some utilities. The measuring tool allows you to just do a really quick ruler measurement of the distance of something or the circumference of it, etc. The clipboard, so you can use the paste and copy commands, which are Control V for paste and Control X for cut and Control C for copy, just like they are in a word processing document. We also have here this, what they call the view cube. This is more used for three-dimensional drawings, so I'm going to recommend that we turn that off because it's easy to accidentally rotate it and then have trouble getting back to the proper view that you want. So for example, if I were to go like this, now I'm looking at the left side of my view and I have to figure out how to get back to the face that I want correctly. And so it's much easier if I just go ahead and turn that off when I'm doing two-dimensional work and turn it back on when I'm doing three-dimensional work. And then this is a shortcut bar that allows you to get to the pan command, which lets you move the screen sideways if you've gone off the edge of the screen. Zoom extents, which makes everything as big on the screen as it can be and still show the complete drawing. And orbit, which rotates the view in 360. Again, that's more for three-dimensional drawings, etc. So in AutoCAD, we have the ability to control a lot of things about our screen. And so one of the first things that we're going to do is go into options, which you can do that in a couple of ways. You can go into the command line here and type the letter O, and it will give you a shortcut menu of some of the things that you could be meaning. And then you could type P and it would narrow it down for you. And the top one is OP options. And so I could hit enter on that. I could also go up to the big A up here at the top, and there's an options section right here. And when I do that, then it opens up the options menu. There are several tabs that we can look at here. Files is talking about where you store things. We're going to leave that with the defaults. Display has a couple of options that are important to us. The main one is whether you want the color theme to be light or dark. When you open the AutoCAD program, the default is dark. So this will be black with white printing, similar to how this looks right now. I've switched it over to light because people have told me before that it's easier to see where my cursor is and things on this. Feel free to send me a comment if you feel like it would be easier to see the other way. And then you can also change the ribbon icons to different sizes. And you can change some of your other resolution things and stuff like that. But generally, we're going to stick with the default sizes. Next is the open and save. We want to make sure that this is set at the 2018 drawing standard, which it is as the default. And that just means that if I have an older version of AutoCAD and I go to open your drawing, I'll be able to read it as long as I have a 2018 or a later version. If I set this to like a 2022 or something, which is not available right now, it would mean that only people who had that version or later would be able to open it. So we want to set it for an earlier version. 2018 works well for that right now. And then I could say how many recently used files should it show me during the startup screen and things like that. Most of these, again, we're going to go ahead and leave defaults. Plot and publish is for when we get to the section about how we print out our drawings, and we'll talk about that later in the term. System would be if we need to manage our graphics card or performance or other things about our computer and how it interacts. Again, generally, it's better to use the defaults unless you're fairly informed about how your computer works. User preferences. This is where I'm going to make a change. And if you see right here under the Windows Standard Behavior, right now it's set so that there is double-click editing. So if I double-click on an item, it will highlight and I can edit it. And then shortcut menus in the drawing area, which means that if I use the right-click on my mouse button, inside of a command, it's going to bring up a shortcut menu list of things that I could do. When you're new, this is reasonable. I would stick with this for now. However, I have a tendency to want to use the right-click customization. And what that means is that instead of bringing up a shortcut menu because I know the shortcuts, I want it to use a time-sensitive right-click as click for enter. And so when I right-click inside of a command, it's going to hit the enter button for me, basically. And that is going to allow me then to work faster, so forth. We're going to leave our default scale as inches, and we're going to leave everything else set to the defaults. Then we're going to go over to the drafting settings. Okay, so we've got our auto snap marker size. Snap means when it automatically drags your cursor to specific points for you, and it's going to do that inside of certain commands. We're going to leave the defaults for all of this for right now. Then we're going to go to 3D modeling. This is where we can turn off our view cube, and so we're going to turn off the view cubes, and we're going to leave the UCS icon because that's our origin point and we want that. And then we're going to go to selection. Now under selection, there is a little button here that says allow press and drag for lasso. And this is about how you select items on the screen. And I like to turn this off because I like a square box that I can use to surround things with. The lasso is a freehand tool and it can cross back over itself, and some people like it. I don't very much. I will go over this on Wednesday during our next lecture to show you kind of why I like it, why I don't. Then we're going to apply our changes and say OK. And now you can see here one of the monitored system variables has changed, and I'm fine with that. This is the UCS that I was talking about. It's called the Universal Coordinate System. And it's similar to math, where you have the 4 quadrants. We are always working in the positive quadrant, which is this upper right one. So this is our 0, 0 point for our XY coordinates, and we're always going to be working in this area. Okay, so that is the basics of using the AutoCAD program, and I will talk to you again in another video.